Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into one of the strangest, most misunderstood birds on the planet. An animal you think you know, but you really don't. Everyone sees flamingos as those pretty pink birds standing quietly in shallow water. Cute, elegant, harmless. Forget that image. Because the real flamingo is a bizarre survival machine that eats upside down, cries salt tears, dances in synchronized armies of thousands, and can live in water so toxic it would dissolve human skin. By the end of this video, you will never look at a flamingo the same way again. Let's get into it. Here's the first shock. Flamingos are not naturally pink. Not even close. A baby flamingo is born gray, fluffy, and about as far from elegant as a bird can get. So where does that famous pink color come from? The answer is disturbing if you think about it. Flamingos are pink because of what they eat. Their diet is packed with algae, larvae, and tiny shrimp that contain a pigment called beta-carotene, the same compound that makes carrots orange. As the flamingo digests this pigment, it gets absorbed into fat and then deposited directly into new feathers as they grow. In other words, a flamingo's entire body color is built from thousands of tiny crustacean corpses. The birds aren't pink. They're wearing their food. And here's the twist that shocks most people. If you took a flamingo out of the wild and fed it a plain, pigment-free diet, its feathers would fade. Zoos actually had this problem for decades. Early captive flamingos slowly turned pale gray and white because zookeepers didn't understand the pigment connection. Today, most zoos add carotenoid supplements to flamingo food just to keep them pink. Without cheat food, your favorite pink bird turns into a ghost. Now let's talk about where flamingos actually live, because this is where things get extreme. Many flamingo species thrive in caustic soda lakes, places so alkaline and salty that almost nothing else can survive there. Lake Natron in Tanzania is one of the most famous examples. Its water can reach temperatures of over 60 degrees Celsius, and its pH is so high that it can burn the skin and eyes of most animals that touch it. Birds that die in the lake are sometimes calcified, preserved almost like statues by the mineral-rich water. And flamingos build their nests right on its shores. To survive drinking this liquid, flamingos have specialized glands near their eyes that filter out excess salt, essentially functioning like a built-in desalination plant. They can drink water hot enough to make a human's mouth blister, and they do it daily, without dying, while raising their chicks a few feet away from a lake that mummifies other birds. That is not the image of a delicate creature. That's an animal engineered for one of the harshest environments on Earth. Here's something almost nobody realizes. Flamingos feed with their heads completely flipped upside down. Their upper beak, the one that looks like the bottom when their head is inverted, actually moves, not the lower one. It's the opposite of nearly every other bird on the planet. When a flamingo feeds, it swings its head side to side underwater, using its tongue like a piston to pump water in and out of its beak up to several times per second. Inside the beak are comb-like structures called lamellae that filter out tiny food, like a natural sieve. It's essentially the same filter feeding strategy used by baleen whales, except shrunk down into a bird's face. And it gets stranger. Some flamingos actually stir up mud with their feet first, then stomp in circles to whip small organisms into the water column before flipping their heads down to filter feed. Underwater, upside down, stomping in circles like a strange pink blender. It looks nothing like the calm, still bird from postcards. If you've ever seen flamingos standing around doing what looks like an awkward synchronized march, you've actually witnessed one of the most important rituals in the bird world. Flamingos perform group courtship dances involving thousands of birds at once. They march in unison, snap their heads side to side, stretch their necks upward, and flap their wings in coordinated bursts, like a massive, pink flash mob with a single goal: pairing off with a mate. These displays aren't random. Scientists believe the synchronized movement helps flamingos assess potential partners' health and stamina, almost like an endurance test disguised as a dance. Birds that can keep up with the fast, repetitive choreography over hours are seen as stronger, more desirable mates. Picture 10,000 pink birds moving in unison across a salt flat. It looks less like nature and more like some kind of ancient ritual. Everyone's seen the famous one-legged pose. Most people assume it's just a resting position, but the real reason is far more clever. Flamingos are constantly standing in cold water and losing heat through their long, thin legs is a serious problem. By tucking one leg up into their warm feathers, they cut heat loss almost in half. Recent research has also shown something wild. Flamingos can literally lock their leg joints in place using a passive mechanical system, meaning they don't have to spend continuous muscle energy to stay balanced. Their body essentially becomes self-supporting, almost like a folding tripod stand. They're not posing. They're running an energy-saving survival hack, using pure biomechanics instead of muscle power. Baby flamingos hatch with straight beaks and gray feathers, nothing like their parents. And in their first days of life, they're fed something incredibly rare in the bird world: crop milk. This is an actual milk. It's a nutrient-rich secretion produced in the parent's digestive tract, similar to how pigeons feed their young. What's shocking is that both flamingo parents, male and female, can produce this fluid, and it's packed with fat, protein, and even red and white blood cells. Some flamingo crop milk is so rich in the same pigment that colors adult feathers that it can actually tint the parent's own chest feathers red during the feeding season, as the pigment gets pulled directly from their bloodstream to nourish the chick. That means a flamingo parent may temporarily sacrifice its own color to keep its baby alive. It's a hidden cost of parenting most people never hear about. Here's one last fact that surprises almost everyone. Flamingos can live an extremely long time. Some individuals in captivity have lived past 60 years old, making them one of the longest-living birds on the planet. Imagine an animal that can outlive a human's entire working career, still standing calmly in the shallows, filter feeding upside down, coated pink by a lifetime of eating shrimp in some of the most hostile lakes on Earth. They're not fragile. They're not just decorative. Flamingos are ancient survival specialists, wrapped in one of nature's most misleading disguises: pure elegance on the outside, brutal adaptation on the inside. So the next time you see a flamingo standing quietly on one leg, remember what's really happening underneath that picture-perfect pink. A bird built for extremes, wearing its food as armor, raising chicks beside lakes that could dissolve bone, and dancing in ancient rituals thousands strong. If this blew your mind, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and ring the bell so you never miss the next wild story. Let me know in the comments which animal shocked you the most so far.